In the quiet glow of dawn, before the air has fully warmed, a faint hum ripples across a patch of lavender. It's not the song of a bee, nor the vibration of a dragonfly wing. It's something in between, a small miracle of aerodynamics suspended mid-air. The hummingbird hawk-moth, Macroglossum stellatarum, hangs motionless before a bloom, its wings a blur invisible to the human eye. Every fraction of a second, those wings carve a figure-8 pattern through the air, forcing lift on both the upstroke and downstroke, the mechanical equivalent of 2 wing beats for every one. The result, an aerial ballet that lets this insect stay completely still in space, even as it sips from the depths of a flower too narrow for any bee to reach. Hovering is one of the most energy-expensive movements in the animal kingdom. For an insect weighing less than a paperclip, it's like trying to keep a helicopter aloft using only muscle power. Each second of suspension burns through precious fuel reserves, sugars metabolized from nectar, at a rate that would empty its body tanks in mere minutes if not replenished. The hawk-moth solves this through an evolutionary paradox. It spends energy at a ferocious pace, but earns it back through unmatched precision. Its long coiled proboscis acts like a straw, allowing it to harvest nectar while remaining airborne, eliminating the need to land or risk predation from ambush spiders and mantises lurking in petals. The true marvel lies not only in the power of its wings, but in the control system behind them. Thousands of microscopic sensors, campaniform sensilla, dot the moth's body, reading the flex of its exoskeleton and the shifting air pressure around it. Combined with compound eyes that can track motion even in near darkness, the moth's brain computes wing corrections hundreds of times per second. This internal autopilot is so responsive that it can maintain stability in gusts of wind or sudden turbulence caused by its own wing vortices. The thoracic muscles, which make up nearly half of its total body mass, contract at blistering speeds, fueled by mitochondria-dense fibers that rival the metabolic intensity of a hummingbird's chest. Scientists have compared the hummingbird hawk-moth's hovering efficiency to that of the actual hummingbird, and the resemblance is uncanny. Both employ vortex ring dynamics, manipulating swirling tunnels of air to stay afloat. But while the bird can adjust through skeletal joints and feather articulation, the moth's entire body becomes a dynamic flight engine. Its wings, connected by a ball and socket joint, flex and twist in mid-beat, producing just the right combination of lift and thrust. At a glance, it seems effortless. In reality, every hover is a delicate balancing act against gravity and exhaustion. The energy equation is brutal. A hovering hawk moth burns nectar at a rate comparable, in relative terms, to a human sprinting at full speed, and yet it can do so continuously for several minutes. To sustain this, it must feed almost constantly. Researchers estimate that, in a single day, an individual moth may visit hundreds of flowers, traveling along a memorized route known as a trapline. This trapline behavior, once thought unique to birds and bees, allows the moth to optimize its foraging, revisiting flowers just as their nectar reserves are replenished. Over time, this reduces wasted flights and conserves precious energy, transforming an unsustainable flight style into a viable ecological niche. The moth's trapline isn't random navigation. It relies on a combination of spatial memory and sensory mapping. Each flower patch emits a distinct ultraviolet pattern and scent signature. The hawk moth's vision extends deep into the ultraviolet spectrum, revealing nectar guides invisible to humans. It learns the geometry of its environment, the position of each bloom, the timing of refills, and repeats that route daily with astonishing accuracy. Some studies have shown individuals returning to the exact same feeding sites across multiple nights, even after long migration intervals. It's a living GPS system, built entirely from instinct and neuron patterns smaller than a grain of rice. Hovering also changes the rules of predation. Stationary feeders like butterflies are vulnerable when landing. Their wings are exposed and their escape time is delayed. The hawk moth's aerial feeding lets it stay mobile, dipping into nectar wells without committing to a perch. Its speed and agility make it nearly untouchable to most small predators, and its constant movement disrupts echolocation for bats that might otherwise target it. When threatened, the moth can disengage instantly, its wings reversing direction in a heartbeat, propelling it backward, a rare trait among insects, and one shared only by a handful of advanced flyers. Even its coloration contributes to this survival design. The mottled brown and orange of its abdomen shimmer in daylight, mimicking the blur of a tiny bird. In Mediterranean and Asian regions where the species thrives, locals often mistake it for a miniature hummingbird, hence its name. But this mimicry isn't just coincidental, it offers protection. Birds of prey that might strike at moths hesitate at the sight of something with hummingbird proportions and flight behavior, reducing attack frequency. Evolution has turned convergence into camouflage. At rest, the hummingbird hawk-moth is surprisingly unremarkable, a small, compact body with scaled wings and a furry thorax. But the moment it takes to the air, its physiology transforms into a machine of kinetic precision. To maintain lift, it must flap its wings roughly 80 times per second. That rhythm generates not only the characteristic hum, but also heat, a byproduct of muscular friction. Thermoregulation becomes another challenge. Unlike many moths that rely on ambient warmth, the hawk-moth preheats its flight muscles through shivering thermogenesis. Before takeoff, it vibrates its wings rapidly without lifting off, raising its thoracic temperature to an optimal range for flight. It is, in essence, a self-heating engine. This ability grants it a huge advantage in cooler climates. The species can range as far north as Scandinavia, flying even on chilly mornings when bees and butterflies remain grounded. Its metabolism, though costly, grants it near independence from temperature constraints. In evolutionary terms, this opens access to nectar resources during dawn and dusk, the quiet hours when competition is low and flowers are still heavy with sugar-rich dew. The ecological role of the hummingbird hawk-moth extends beyond its beauty. By pollinating deep-tubed flowers like jasmine and honeysuckle, it sustains plant lineages that few other insects can service. The length of its proboscis, often longer than its entire body, matches floral structures evolved specifically for it. In turn, these plants provide nectar concentrations high enough to justify the moth's fuel demands. It's an elegant example of coevolution, where plant and pollinator push each other toward extremes of specialization. Every detail of this insect's life is a study in trade-offs. It burns bright and fast, constantly teetering on the edge of starvation, yet through precision and memory, it stays alive. Its success depends not on conserving energy, but on mastering its expenditure, a living embodiment of risk and reward. Hovering may be an extravagant way to feed, but in the evolutionary marketplace, efficiency isn't always about saving fuel. Sometimes it's about spending it with absolute purpose. As the morning light grows stronger, the hummingbird hawk-moth drifts to another patch of blossoms, its flight path steady and sure. To human eyes, it's a fleeting flicker of motion, gone almost before it's seen. But in that moment, physics, memory, and evolution converge. A tiny life balancing the impossible cost of flight with the irreplaceable gain of survival. Under the glare of late summer sunlight, the meadow hums with the layered sound of wings, bees tracing their pollen routes, grasshoppers rasping in the tall stems, and among them, something still. At first glance, the wasp spider looks like an intruder from a different world, a bright banded abdomen of yellow, black, and white, suspended in a net that glimmers faintly in the ultraviolet spectrum. Its orb web is anchored between grass blades and wildflowers, so taut it hums when a breeze passes through. But it's the structure at the center, the bold white zigzag, that transforms this web from simple trap to evolutionary experiment. This zigzag, known as the stabilimentum, is a mystery that has puzzled biologists for decades. It's made of dense silk threads, layered over the web's hub in a pattern that catches and reflects ultraviolet light. Many pollinating insects, flies, bees, and butterflies, perceive ultraviolet wavelengths vividly, and to them, this zigzag burns like a neon sign. Flowers use similar spectral tricks to advertise nectar, and in that sense, the wasp spider's web has learned the same language. By inserting this visual lure, the spider increases the odds that a passing insect will veer toward it, mistaking the silk for floral radiance. but the reward is double-edged. The same optical beacon that attracts prey also draws attention from birds, wasps, and even humans, predators that learn to recognize bright patterns as danger or as food. To understand why the wasp spider, Argiope bruinici, takes such an evolutionary gamble, we must look at the economics of its web. Orb webs are not passive structures, they are living investments. Each requires hours of construction and an enormous expenditure of protein-rich silk. The spider spins this silk from multiple glands, each with a specific recipe. Some threads are dry and strong, forming the frame. Others are sticky and elastic, composing the capture spiral. The stabilimentum demands yet another variation, thick, opaque silk that scatters light differently. Every centimeter costs metabolic fuel that could otherwise go toward growth or egg production. In short, the zigzag isn't free. So if the wasp spider continues to build it, generation after generation, it must be paying for itself in results. Researchers who measured capture success have found that webs with stabilimenta tend to intercept more flying prey per hour, especially in open meadows where sunlight intensity is high. The ultraviolet reflection draws in day-active insects that navigate by light polarization and color contrast. But the gain comes with volatility. On bright days, prey capture skyrockets. On overcast or windy ones, the web may sit empty, its visibility offering no benefit. Worse, the gleam of the stabilimentum can betray the spider's presence to insectivorous birds such as shrikes and warblers. These birds have sharp color vision that extends into the ultraviolet range, and experiments have shown them preferentially attacking webs with bright decorations. In the language of evolution, the wasp spider is running a high-risk, high-reward strategy. Hovering just beneath the web's hub, the spider itself is a living warning flag. Its abdomen bears alternating yellow and black stripes, a pattern of aposematism, nature's visual shorthand for danger. To potential predators, these colors suggest venom, distaste, or sting, even though the wasp spider lacks any true wasp defenses. The mimicry works through psychological association. Birds and lizards that have once experienced a painful sting instinctively avoid similar patterns. The effect extends beyond simple survival. The spider's conspicuous colors, when juxtaposed against the stabilimentum, may actually enhance the web's optical lure. Insects approach the bright center as if targeting a floral core, only to strike an invisible barrier of silk. From a mechanical standpoint, the stabilimentum also serves subtler purposes. The dense threads reinforce the web's hub, reducing strain during large impacts. When a beetle or wasp collides at high velocity, the zigzag fibers help dissipate energy, preventing catastrophic tears. Yet this reinforcement creates its own burden. Every added gram of silk adds weight, and heavier webs sag faster, requiring more frequent rebuilds. The wasp spider's routine reflects this constant upkeep. Each dawn, it consumes sections of its old web, recycling the amino acids to spin anew by midday. The stabilimentum, though costly, is rebuilt almost every time, a sign that its benefit is too important to abandon. But what exactly is the spider optimizing? The answer seems to vary with context. Juvenile wasp spiders spin simpler webs with smaller or fragmented stabilimenta, while adults, especially females, construct bold, full-length zigzags. The larger the spider, the more visible the web, and the greater the payoff from high prey capture rates.
A big female's survival depends on rapid energy intake. She must fuel egg production that can reach several hundred eggs in a single sac. Time is short. The species' entire life cycle unfolds in a single season. So she trades stealth for abundance, betting that each glimmering zigzag will buy her the calories needed for reproduction before predators notice. The risk becomes clear when you observe the aftermath of a bird strike. Torn webs are common. Sometimes, only fragments remain fluttering between grass blades. Yet the spider rarely abandons her site. Within hours, she begins the meticulous repair process, anchoring new spokes, reapplying the sticky spiral, and reweaving the central signature. This persistence speaks to an evolutionary truth. Even a web that fails spectacularly still succeeds
if it feeds the spider long enough to lay her eggs. The stabilimentum's visibility might also serve a secondary purpose beyond prey attraction: deterrence. Certain birds and large insects collide destructively with spiderwebs, wasting silk and endangering the builder. A visible zigzag could act as a warning, signaling to larger animals that a web occupies this space. In that light, the stabilimentum becomes a dual-use symbol: predator risk from above balanced by fewer accidental breakages. In experiments where scientists removed the zigzag, webs were damaged more often by wind-blown debris or careless landings from grasshoppers. Evolution may have sculpted the stabilimentum into a compromise, part lure, part caution tape. In ultraviolet photography, the web takes on an entirely different dimension. The background foliage fades into darkness while the stabilimentum flares into a radiant cross. For insects guided by light patterns, the trap is irresistible. Even species that normally avoid webs, such as hoverflies, are drawn toward the glow. Some arrive cautiously, hovering near the center, only to brush against a radial line and trigger the ambush. The spider, ever patient, senses these vibrations instantly. Specialized slit sensilla along her legs act like seismic detectors, translating frequency and amplitude into prey identity. A bee's frantic buzz feels different from a small midge's flutter, and the spider can decide within fractions of a second whether the struggle above is worth the risk of leaving her hub. Her strike is calculated, not impulsive. She rushes upward, bites once to inject paralyzing venom, then retreats to avoid damage. The venom of Argiope bruenici is potent but finely tuned, enough to immobilize without crushing delicate prey. Once the motion ceases, she returns to wrap the body in dry silk, forming a compact package she can later consume or store. The stabilimentum, still quivering, has already begun its next job, sending out light pulses that announce another false flower to the sky. Each component of the wasp spider's life reflects this balance between visibility and survival. Her bright colors make her both target and warning. Her zigzag web earns meals and invites danger. Even her chosen habitat, open grasslands rather than shaded forest, multiplies both risks and rewards. Yet this strategy has proven so effective that her range has expanded dramatically in recent decades. Once confined to Mediterranean regions, she now thrives across Central and Northern Europe, adapting her silk composition and behavior to cooler climates. Warmer summers and extended flowering seasons have only accelerated her spread. The stabilimentum, then, becomes more than decoration. It's a symbol of ecological adaptation, of how species refine risk until it becomes advantage. Each shimmering thread represents a decision encoded in DNA: when to attract, when to conceal, when to gamble. Nature does not reward caution indefinitely. In a world where every calorie counts, the wasp spider's brilliance is not vanity, but survival logic written in silk and sunlight. When evening falls, the web softens into the gold of dusk. Dew gathers along the zigzag, refracting the last rays of light into a prism of color. From a distance, it's nothing but a faint shimmer among the grass, but to the eyes of an approaching moth or bee, it is a beacon too vivid to ignore. The spider waits, motionless in the center, a patient engineer at the crossroads of light and hunger. What began as a risk has become a ritual, the daily act of rebuilding a trap that must be seen to work and unseen to last. As summer evening settles over the forest, the air thickens with the scent of sap. The oaks bleed amber along their bark, drawing nocturnal life to the feast. Moths flutter like drifting embers. Hoverflies trace trembling circles over the wounds. And then, from the shadowed canopy, something heavier descends. A dark shape, broad-winged and purposeful, landing with the awkward grace of a creature burdened by its own grandeur. The stag beetle. Its silhouette is unmistakable, a horned knight of the undergrowth, crowned with oversized mandibles that gleam in the dim light like polished antlers. These are not ornamental weapons. They are instruments of ritual combat, tools that decide the course of lineage. Yet behind their magnificence lies a cost written into every beat of the beetle's wings. The male stag beetle's mandibles, sometimes half the length of its body, are among the most extreme cases of sexual selection in the insect world. Unlike the cutting jaws of predators, these are not meant to slice or tear. They are leverage tools. Elongated arms evolved for pushing, gripping, and flipping rivals from the trunks of trees. Each summer, males gather around sap flows, where females come to feed and mate. The scene resembles a tournament ground. Two males face each other, their heads raised, jaws spread wide. They engage in a series of slow, deliberate movements, testing balance, gauging reach, until one lunges forward, seizes the other beneath the thorax, and with a heave of muscle, tosses him backward into the leaves. It's a contest of physics as much as of strength, a demonstration of how structure can become status. But this display of power comes with a profound evolutionary tax. Those antler-like mandibles are heavy, disproportionately so for an insect that must also fly. The larger they grow, the greater the drag, and the more unwieldy the body becomes in air. A stag beetle's flight is a clattering struggle between lift and imbalance. The thoracic muscles that drive its wings are forced to compensate for the anterior weight, demanding more energy and creating more heat. The result is a lumbering ascent that makes the beetle one of the most conspicuous flyers in the forest twilight. Its broad silhouette and slow speed turn it into an easy target for birds and bats, predators that hunt by sight and sound alike. In evolutionary terms, this is the very definition of a trade-off. The stag beetle invests in a structure that secures mating rights, but compromises nearly every other aspect of survival. Males with larger mandibles win more duels and thus gain access to more females, but they also burn more calories in flight and face higher predation risk. Smaller males, though better flyers, are often driven away before mating can occur. This tension between sexual selection and natural selection, between reproductive success and sheer survival, has sculpted the beetle's body into an exquisite balance of form and function. It's a living equation, written in chitin and muscle fiber, where the cost of glory is measured in flight performance and mortality. The concept that governs this balance is known as antler allometry, the scaling relationship between body size and the growth of exaggerated structures. In stag beetles, mandible size increases disproportionately with body size, a phenomenon biologists call positive allometry. A small increase in overall mass produces a much larger increase in weapon length. This scaling creates visual and functional dominance among males, but it also deepens inequality. Only individuals that grew up in nutrient-rich conditions can afford to produce the biggest weapons, while weaker or malnourished larvae mature into adults with shorter jaws and lower status. Thus, even before combat begins, the outcome is often determined by ecological luck, the quality of the soil, the availability of decaying wood, the warmth of the larval chamber. Each stag beetle begins life buried in rotting timber, feeding for years on cellulose and fungi. During this subterranean stage, energy is everything. The larvae store reserves of fat and protein that will later fund their adult transformation. When metamorphosis begins, that energy is redistributed. Muscle fibers expand, wings unfurl, and those enormous mandibles are sculpted from hardened exoskeleton. Once complete, the adult stag beetle no longer feeds on solid food. Its digestive system is reduced to handle only simple sugars from sap and fruit juices. The fuel it gathered as a larva must now sustain it through the entire mating season. Every flight, every duel, every night spent searching for a mate is a withdrawal from that finite energy bank. In this light, the mandibles become more than weapons. They are economic investments. The energy spent growing them could have gone toward body reserves or flight muscle mass, but instead, evolution has funneled it into display and dominance. Females in turn select for these traits indirectly. They may not consciously prefer larger males, but by choosing winners of combat, they reinforce the genetic template that builds those massive jaws. Over countless generations, this feedback loop produces a species where power is visible long before it is tested. Yet the beetle's weaponry is not without refinement. Contrary to appearance, the mandibles are not clumsy or brittle. Their internal structure features a gradient of hardness, rigid at the tips for gripping, slightly flexible at the base to absorb shock. The muscles that operate them are anchored deep within the head, connected by tendons of cuticle that can deliver impressive torque without snapping. In laboratory studies, a large male's jaws can generate forces many times its own body weight, enough to lift or pin rivals effortlessly. However, this specialization comes with reduced biting precision. The beetle can no longer feed efficiently or manipulate small objects. Its evolution has chosen one function at the expense of many others. Flight further amplifies this compromise. When the stag beetle takes off, it raises its elytra, the hardened forewings that act as shields, and unfolds the membranous hindwings beneath.
The resulting noise is unmistakable, a deep mechanical whir, like a toy engine struggling against inertia.
The heavy head tilts forward, forcing the body to angle upward for lift, and every meter of ascent feels borrowed from the laws of aerodynamics. The beetle can fly, but barely, a reminder that evolution often achieves adequacy, not perfection. Some males even crash mid-flight, tumbling through branches before righting themselves and climbing again, driven by instinct and competition more than grace. Predators exploit this weakness. Tawny owls, nighthawks, and even hedgehogs are known to prey upon stag beetles during their clumsy takeoffs. The beetle's armor, while formidable against ground threats, offers little defense from aerial interception. Still, enough survive to perpetuate the species, proving that success in evolution is measured not by elegance, but by persistence. Interestingly, females tell a different story. Without the burden of exaggerated mandibles, they are agile flyers, efficient feeders, and far less conspicuous. Their energy goes into egg production rather than combat. After mating, they descend to the forest floor and seek soft, decaying wood where they can burrow and lay eggs. In this dim, humid environment, the next generation begins, larvae that will spend years consuming wood fiber, slowly accumulating the reserves needed for one brief adult season above ground. What emerges, then, is a portrait of trade-offs across every level of life history. The stag beetle's form is not a symbol of perfection, but of compromise made visible. The males carry the cost of their own success, dragging it through the air with every flight. The species endures because natural selection permits extravagance as long as it does not cross the line into extinction. It is a precarious dance between attraction and vulnerability, where beauty and burden are indistinguishable.
Evening deepens. The oaks release more sap, and the air fills again with the faint scent of sugar and fermentation.
Two males meet on a trunk slick with resin. They rise on their legs, jaws clashing in slow, deliberate arcs. Muscles tremble, bodies strain, and for a moment both hang suspended in stalemate. Then one slips, topples backward, and falls into the grass. The victor remains, motionless but triumphant, his antlers silhouetted against the fading light. In that fleeting scene, evolution's gamble reveals itself. Strength earned at the cost of flight, beauty weighed against survival. At the edge of a South American rainforest, the soil trembles with quiet industry. 1,000 moving fragments of green glint under the canopy, not leaves stirred by wind, but leaves walking, held aloft by the tireless workers of a civilization hidden beneath the forest floor. Each scrap of vegetation, freshly cut and meticulously carried, represents a fraction of a vast biological economy. These are leafcutter ants, architects of one of the most sophisticated agricultural systems on Earth. They march in organized streams along beaten soil highways, moving material from harvest sites to underground farms that never see the sun. What appears at first glance as chaos is, in truth, precision logistics, an empire of fungus, labor, and microscopic symbiosis sustained through constant calculation. Leafcutter ants belong to two main genera, Atta and Acromyrmex, and they operate on a scale that rivals small human settlements. A mature colony may host several million individuals spread across chambers that sink meters deep and stretch tens of meters wide. Within those subterranean halls lies their true treasure, vast gardens of cultivated fungus, tended day and night. The ants do not eat the leaves they harvest. Instead, they use them as substrate, compost for a single species of fungus, Leucoagaricus gonguliforus, that breaks down tough plant cellulose into digestible nutrients. The relationship is ancient, dating back tens of millions of years, and as dependent as any agricultural system humans have ever built. The ants cannot survive without their crop, and the fungus cannot survive without its caretakers. But agriculture comes at a cost. Every piece of leaf hauled underground is a logistical decision, one that must account for energy expenditure, predator exposure, and colony maintenance. The trails that connect cutting sites to the nest are highways in miniature, engineered through sheer repetition. Worker traffic compresses the soil, clears debris, and lays down pheromone signals that guide others with mathematical precision. Smaller ants patrol the edges like traffic wardens, maintaining flow and repairing obstructions. If an obstacle appears, a fallen twig, a puddle, workers reroute instantly, establishing a detour that becomes permanent if it proves efficient. This decentralized intelligence, emerging from chemical communication alone, allows the colony to optimize routes faster than any central command could. It is crowdsourced infrastructure at its purest form. The scale of this operation is staggering. A single colony can strip an entire tree of foliage within a few days. Each worker cuts semicircular fragments using serrated mandibles, powered by muscles proportionally stronger than any vertebrates. The vibration produced during cutting resonates through the leaf like a muted saw. Once detached, the fragment is hoisted over the ant's head, often weighing several times its own body mass, and carried back to the nest in steady procession. This constant movement resembles a living conveyor belt, with each ant performing a specific role in a larger economic chain. Deep within the nest, the system shifts from transport to processing. Larger workers deposit the leaves in specialized chambers where smaller castes, the minims, take over. These tiny workers, scarcely larger than a grain of sand, are the gardeners of the colony. They chew the leaf fragments into pulp, mix them with droplets of saliva and fecal enzymes, and spread the paste evenly across the fungal beds. Their saliva is rich in proteolytic and cellulolytic enzymes that pre-digest the plant matter, allowing the fungus to colonize it quickly. The fungus then grows nodules called gongylidea, swollen cells filled with nutrients that the ants feed upon. Every bite of ant food is in truth a mouthful of cultivated mycelium. But monoculture is always vulnerable. The same dense fungal gardens that nourish millions also invite disease. The ants face a constant threat from parasitic molds, particularly species of Escovopsis, that invade and overrun the fungal crop. To counter this, evolution has equipped the colony with a pharmaceutical defense network. On their cuticles live symbiotic bacteria, primarily Pseudonocardia and Streptomyces species, that produce antibiotic compounds lethal to fungal pathogens, but harmless to the cultivated crop. The ants effectively farm their own antibiotics, applying them through grooming behaviors. Large workers regularly clean the gardeners, coating their bodies with these protective microbes, while minims patrol the fungus beds with unrelenting vigilance. In this microscopic battlefield, warfare is chemical, constant, and precise. The ant's social structure mirrors an economy obsessed with efficiency. Every caste operates under strict specialization. The largest workers, known as majors, act as soldiers and heavy carriers, protecting the highways from predators such as phorid flies, parasitic insects that lay eggs on exposed workers. These flies hover above the foraging trails like vultures, waiting for an unguarded moment. When one descends, a minim immediately climbs onto the back of the leaf carrier, serving as a living bodyguard. It's a remarkable image, a tiny sentinel riding atop a moving leaf, ready to bite or brush away any intruder. This cooperation scales seamlessly, with no hierarchy issuing commands, only pheromonal feedback loops maintaining balance across millions of individuals. Energy too must be budgeted. Every worker spends fuel in sugar calories harvested indirectly from the fungus, which means every foraging trip has to yield a net profit. Too long a trail, too small a leaf fragment, or too frequent repairs could tip the balance toward loss. Colonies instinctively adjust. When foraging distances increase, they recruit more workers, shorten cutting times, and prioritize higher nutrient leaves. Some even rotate harvest sites to allow regrowth, unintentionally mimicking sustainable forestry. Their behavior obeys economic principles of cost, efficiency, and risk diversification, all emerging from instinct and collective feedback, not thought. The physical environment imposes its own taxes. Tunnels must remain aerated but humid, a delicate equilibrium maintained by continuous excavation and ventilation shafts. Waste chambers isolate decomposing matter far from the fungal gardens to prevent contamination. Workers transport discarded substrate, the byproduct of fungal decomposition, to external dumps guarded by specialized cleaners. This waste management system prevents disease and recycles trace nutrients back into the soil, enriching the surrounding forest in a subtle but measurable way. The colony, in effect, becomes an ecosystem engineer, altering local nutrient cycles, soil aeration, and plant community dynamics. Where leafcutter ants thrive, forest productivity increases. Yet every economy, no matter how efficient, faces systemic risk. For the ants, that risk lies in their dependence on a single crop. If the fungal symbiosis collapses, through pathogen invasion, climate stress, or contamination, the entire colony starves. Without its gardens, a leafcutter nest becomes a hollow shell. Unlike generalist ants, these specialists cannot simply switch diets or forage independently. Their evolution has locked them into a mutual dependency as absolute as any corporate monopoly. Even brief disruptions can be catastrophic. During droughts, when humidity falls below optimal levels, the fungal chambers dry out, forcing workers to seal entrances and cluster around the gardens to maintain moisture. Thousands may die in the process, sacrificed to stabilize the colony's most valuable asset. And yet this fragility coexists with resilience. Leafcutter ants have persisted for millions of years, surviving glacial shifts, forest fragmentation, and the rise of modern agriculture itself. Their strategy works because it scales. Every individual's contribution multiplies into collective stability. When a queen founds a new colony, she carries a tiny pellet of the ancestral fungus in her mouth, ensuring continuity. This biological inheritance binds generations together like a living seed bank. It's an elegant redundancy. Even if one colony fails, the lineage survives through countless others. From an ecological perspective, the colony functions as a superorganism, a single entity composed of millions of cells that happen to walk on 6 legs each. The fungus acts as its stomach, the workers as muscles, the tunnels as veins and lungs. Decisions emerge from chemical communication, the way thoughts emerge from neurons. No ant understands the total system, yet the system endures, adapts, and even expands. It's a portrait of complexity without consciousness, intelligence without intellect, an alien mirror to human civilization. In the dusk, the foraging trails glow faintly with movement. Each leaf reflects the fading light like a shard of emerald glass. The ants march in silence, their cargo stacked into a green river that flows ceaselessly toward the dark. Below, the gardens pulse with life, mycelium spreading like roots of light through the damp soil. Every cut, every step, every microbial alliance is part of a grand exchange. Energy transformed into structure, structure into sustenance. The forest may not notice, but its balance depends on these hidden farmers, its soil enriched by the invisible wages of their labor. In this microcosm of logistics and biology, the leafcutter ant demonstrates an unsettling truth. Civilization need not begin with thought, only with necessity. The colony's highways, antibiotics, and agricultural investments are not signs of intelligence as we define it. They are the outcomes of relentless optimization by evolution. For every leaf carried home, there is a cost paid in energy, silk, and risk. For every bite of fungal bread, there is the shadow of collapse should the balance fail. Yet as long as the trails hum with movement, the system remains solvent, a thriving subterranean empire run on instinct, chemistry, and time. Sunlight ripples across the surface of a still pond, painting liquid mirrors that tremble at the slightest breath of wind. To the untrained eye, the water seems undisturbed, a quiet expanse punctuated only by drifting pollen and the faint shadow of reeds. But if one looks closer, tiny dimples appear and glide across the surface as if driven by invisible forces. They move with impossible lightness, never sinking, never wet. Each dimple belongs to a water strider, a hunter, courier, and acrobat of fluid dynamics that lives permanently upon the skin of water. Its kingdom is a world between worlds, where the laws of physics bend to the advantage of legs so precisely adapted that they can literally walk on equations.
The secret lies not in magic, but in surface tension, the cohesive pull that binds water molecules together, creating a flexible film strong enough to resist penetration by small, lightweight creatures. For most insects, breaking through this barrier is effortless. For the water strider, avoiding that break is everything. Each leg is covered in thousands of microscopic hairs, called microsetae, coated with a waxy hydrophobic substance. These hairs trap pockets of air, repelling water and spreading the insect's weight across a wide area. The longer middle legs serve as paddles, the hind legs as rudders, and the forelegs, shorter and muscular, as weapons. Together, they distribute mass so efficiently that the entire insect presses on the surface with a force lighter than the pressure of a feather on skin. Seen in slow motion, a strider's stride becomes a masterclass in applied physics. Each push sends a shallow dimple racing backward across the surface, a wave that reflects the insect's stored kinetic energy. Unlike swimmers, water striders do not move by displacing water. They glide by pressing against the surface film itself. The resistance they exploit, surface tension, is their track, their medium, and their lifeline. In this sense, they inhabit an ecosystem defined not by land or water, but by the thin meniscus that divides the two. It's a world with no drag, no sinking, and almost no predators, at least none that approach from below without breaking their cover. That surface, however, is both sanctuary and trap. The same barrier that keeps the strider safe also isolates it from deeper escape routes. It cannot dive or submerge without drowning. Evolution has optimized every part of its anatomy for this two-dimensional habitat, from leg proportion to sensory reception, but the result is absolute specialization. If oil, detergent, or pollutants coat the water, even in trace amounts, the molecular balance is destroyed. Surface tension collapses, and the hydrophobic legs fail to repel the film. Once the fine hairs become fouled, water seeps into the microstructure, adhesion replaces buoyancy, and the insect sinks. For a species that can sprint across the surface at nearly a meter per second relative to its size, the smallest patch of pollution is a death sentence. The dividends of its adaptation vanish with one chemical spill. Yet in pristine waters, the water strider thrives as both predator and communicator. It feeds on insects trapped by the same physics that support it, midges, mosquitoes, and mayflies that fall onto the surface film in a fatal misstep. A trapped insect's struggles send vibrations across the water, forming concentric ripples that radiate outward. To most creatures, these ripples are background noise. To the strider, they are language. Specialized organs at the base of its legs detect minute disturbances, allowing it to interpret vibration patterns with exquisite precision. A drowning fly sends a different signal than a rival strider or a courting partner. The water surface becomes a living communication grid, where each ripple carries meaning and distance is no obstacle. This ripple-based communication system is more than survival instinct. It is an evolutionary innovation that mirrors human use of sound waves or radio. The water strider can determine the source, intensity, and direction of a disturbance within milliseconds. Experiments have shown that males use specific ripple frequencies during courtship displays, while territorial disputes are announced through sharper, repetitive pulses. These waves travel efficiently across still water, allowing communication between individuals several body lengths apart. A low-energy network in a medium where even a whisper leaves a mark. Despite their delicate balance, water striders are not fragile. They are agile hunters capable of explosive bursts of acceleration. When a victim lands nearby, the strider lunges, its forelegs snapping forward in a motion that combines speed and accuracy. The prey is subdued and pierced by a needle-like proboscis that injects digestive enzymes. The insect then feeds by sucking up liquefied tissue, leaving behind a hollow shell that slowly drifts away. This method of external digestion conserves energy and allows the strider to feed efficiently on a diet that literally falls from the sky. In doing so, it provides an ecological service, recycling nutrients from flying insects back into aquatic systems. Yet the perfection of its surface life depends on constant maintenance. The microsetae must remain clean and dry. A single speck of dust or a thin film of oil can compromise the hydrophobic effect. For this reason, grooming is an unending ritual.
Water striders regularly comb their legs with specialized bristles located near the mouth, redistributing waxes and removing impurities. It's a mechanical equivalent of waterproofing, repeated daily to ensure survival. The maintenance cost is high, but the payoff is access to a habitat where competition is minimal and escape routes are infinite, a dividend of living lightly. The strider's lightness also dictates its social structure. Many species live in groups, sharing feeding territories and even forming floating colonies. Within these, hierarchies emerge, determined largely by size and aggression. Dominant males patrol the best feeding zones, repelling rivals through physical displays that generate ripples intended both as warning and intimidation. Subordinate individuals are forced to the periphery, where prey is scarcer and danger from land-based predators, such as spiders and frogs, increases. These surface dramas unfold silently, yet the energy exchange between dominance, territory, and physics is constant. In seasonal ponds and rivers, water striders face another challenge: the instability of their habitat. Droughts shrink their world to isolated puddles. Floods destroy it altogether. To survive such volatility, females lay eggs on emergent vegetation or floating debris, ensuring that new generations hatch when conditions stabilize. Some species overwinter as adults, seeking shelter in vegetation or under ice films, relying on antifreeze compounds in their hemolymph to prevent freezing. Their resilience lies not in strength, but in adaptability to a habitat that vanishes and reforms in cycles dictated by rain and evaporation. From a mechanical perspective, the strider's design is nearly flawless. Its leg-to-body ratio maximizes buoyancy while minimizing pressure. Its exoskeleton combines flexibility with tensile strength, allowing it to withstand impacts without puncturing the water surface. In laboratory studies, scientists have replicated its locomotion in micro-robots designed for water sampling and environmental monitoring. The engineering principles extracted from its anatomy, hydrophobic microtexturing, distributed load management, and vibration sensing, now inform fields as diverse as robotics and materials science. The insect's effortless stride across the surface is not just a curiosity of nature, but a blueprint for technology that seeks to master the same equations. Still, every adaptation carries the shadow of limitation. The very lightness that lets water striders exploit their habitat also prevents them from escaping it easily. They cannot swim downward, and even small waves from passing fish or human activity can scatter them unpredictably. During heavy rain, droplets strike the water with enough force to launch them momentarily into the air, tumbling helplessly before landing again. Only through evolutionary refinements, flexible joints, rapid leg repositioning, and an ability to use surface ripples to regain balance, do they survive such bombardment. It is a reminder that mastery of one domain always comes with dependency on its stability. As evening falls, the pond becomes mirror black, the last reflections of sky giving way to darkness. The water striders remain active, their movements visible only through faint concentric ripples that glimmer under starlight. Each dimple is a footprint that vanishes within seconds, leaving no trace of passage. In that evanescence lies their genius, a life lived on thresholds, powered by precision, dependent on balance. They are creatures of equations, neither swimmers nor flyers, but mathematicians of the meniscus, living off the tension between cohesion and gravity. For all their grace, their world hangs on a thread no thicker than a molecule. Oil, heat, or chemical runoff can erase their realm in an instant, flattening the invisible stage that sustains them. To watch them is to glimpse a truth often hidden in nature, that survival can depend not on strength or endurance, but on calibration, a perfect alignment of weight, physics, and chance. On the surface of the water, where most creatures see only reflection, the water strider walks on reality's thinnest edge and turns it into a highway. Morning sunlight filters through the forest canopy, scattering gold across the undergrowth. Between two branches, a vast wheel of silk shimmers, not white, not silver, but burnished yellow, like a coin held up to the dawn. This is the web of the golden silk orb-weaver, Trichonephila clavipes, one of nature's most extraordinary engineers. Each strand gleams faintly as if illuminated from within, a living filament spun from the spider's own body. Suspended at its hub sits the architect herself, motionless yet alert, her long, spindly legs feeling every whisper of air that touches the silk. She is both hunter and investor, having poured her body's resources into this glittering lattice, a structure designed to turn the invisible flow of air into steady income. The golden hue of the silk is more than decoration. Under the full spectrum of sunlight, the threads reflect ultraviolet wavelengths, invisible to humans but blazingly bright to insects. Many pollinators navigate using ultraviolet cues, mistaking these luminous strands for floral signals. In a sense, the orb-weaver's web is a false bloom, an irresistible mirage of nectar and safety. Researchers studying light refraction through the silk found that its optical properties mimic those of flower petals, making the web an active lure. Yet the brilliance serves another purpose too: camouflage. Against the dappled sunlight of the forest, the yellow sheen blends perfectly with falling leaves and sunlit gaps, rendering the structure invisible to prey that rely on motion rather than color. But the decision to weave gold comes at a cost. The proteins that compose silk, chiefly fibroin and spidroin, are metabolically expensive to produce. A single web may require the spider to expend nearly 1/10 of its total body weight in silk proteins, all secreted from spinnerets that function like precision nozzles. The silk's composition is chemically complex, a balance between crystalline regions that provide tensile strength and amorphous ones that give elasticity. In practical terms, it's tougher than steel by weight, capable of stretching nearly 5 times its length without breaking. This balance allows the web to absorb the kinetic energy of a flying beetle or wasp without tearing apart. The golden silk orb-weaver's investment is both delicate and immensely strong, a flexible trap built to withstand the turbulence of a rainforest breeze. Wind, in fact, is her ally. Unlike many spiders that build in sheltered spaces, the orb-weaver prefers open-air corridors, the invisible highways between trees where wind carries flying insects. Positioning a web here is the equivalent of placing a fishing net in a river current. The flow of air brings opportunity, but it also brings risk. Gusts can rip the structure apart. Rain can weigh it down until it collapses. Each morning, the spider patrols her web, assessing damage and making constant repairs. She consumes the broken silk, recycling its proteins to spin new threads. Nothing is wasted in this economy. Every molecule of silk can be reinvested into the next web, and every web is rebuilt in slightly altered geometry, fine-tuned by experience. The web's design is a masterpiece of both symmetry and asymmetry. At first glance, it appears circular, yet its hub is usually positioned off-center, slightly toward the upper frame. This is no aesthetic quirk, it's a functional adjustment. Most prey strike the upper half of the web while flying forward and upward in the direction of light. By placing herself above the center, the spider shortens her response time, reaching struggling prey faster. Her legs can detect vibrations from any part of the web, distinguishing between the frantic buzz of a trapped moth and the low-frequency rumble of wind. The silk's elasticity acts as a natural filter. Non-prey vibrations dissipate, while prey signals remain sharp and rhythmic, transmitted directly to her body. When a victim collides with the web, the impact is astonishingly violent in proportion to size. A flying beetle might hit at a speed that, relative to mass, would shatter any other material. Yet the silk stretches, flexes, and absorbs the shock like a living parachute. The spider rushes forward, guided not by sight but by vibration. Her vision is limited, but her sense of touch is exquisite. Within seconds, she reaches the prey and immobilizes it with a rapid series of raps, the capture spiral transformed into a cocoon. The silk used for binding is stickier, drawn from a different gland specialized for adhesion. Once subdued, the prey is either consumed immediately or stored for later, suspended like a small coin in her golden treasury. Every decision the orb-weaver makes has an energy cost. She must balance risk and reward, remain too long in the web's center, and she becomes a target for birds and wasps, hide too long in the periphery, and she risks missing valuable catches. Her coloration reflects this trade-off. The female's body, often the size of a human thumb, gleams in gold and brown tones that mirror the web's hue, creating optical continuity. To potential predators, she becomes part of the pattern, a bright spot of sunlight rather than a body. To her prey, she is invisible until it's far too late. Unlike solitary hunters, the golden silk orb-weaver maintains a semi-public domain. Juvenile males, much smaller than females, often inhabit the edges of her web, surviving on scraps or small insects that escape her notice. Some even risk venturing close to court the female, their movements slow and deliberate to avoid triggering her predatory response. Mating, when it occurs, is a perilous negotiation. The male must deliver his genetic material and retreat before being mistaken for prey. Many do not survive the attempt. The few that do contribute to the next generation of architects, ensuring that the lineage of gold spinners continues. One of the most remarkable aspects of the orb-weaver's biology lies in the silk's unique composition. Its golden coloration is produced by carotenoid-like pigments that also function as ultraviolet stabilizers, preventing degradation from sunlight exposure. This allows the web to remain functional longer than the unpigmented silk of other spiders. In tropical climates, where ultraviolet radiation is intense, this advantage translates directly into energy savings, fewer rebuilds, fewer wasted resources. Researchers have experimented with reproducing these properties synthetically, but no laboratory fiber has yet matched the combination of resilience, elasticity, and optical manipulation found in this spider's thread. At night, the dynamics shift. The air cools, humidity rises, and the silk begins to absorb moisture. This subtle change increases its stickiness, enhancing capture efficiency in the dark hours when nocturnal moths take flight. The spider adjusts her posture, hanging head down to intercept vibrations more effectively. The moonlight catches the silk, turning it from gold to pale silver, a chameleon structure adapting to ambient light. Insects, drawn by faint glows and reflections, blunder into the trap. Each impact is another deposit in her living bank. Energy gathered from the air, converted to survival. Yet wealth brings vulnerability. Sitting exposed at the web's center makes the golden silk orb-weaver an easy mark for predators. Birds pluck them from their webs. Parasitic wasps inject eggs into their abdomens. Even kleptoparasitic spiders lurk nearby, stealing prey from the edges. Her strategy is not stealth, but endurance. By producing more silk and more webs, she compensates for loss through abundance. In the economics of ecology, her success depends not on invulnerability, but on continuous reinvestment. The web itself becomes part of the ecosystem's architecture. When abandoned, its golden strands drift in the wind, catching light like threads of morning mist. Birds sometimes collect the silk for nest lining, drawn to its strength and elasticity. In this way, the orb-weaver's labor extends beyond her lifetime, her silk reinforcing nests, trapping seeds, even gluing together bits of debris that fall into streams. What began as a hunting tool becomes raw material for other forms of life, the currency of the forest recycled endlessly. To watch the golden silk orb-weaver is to witness evolution's experiment in risk and reward played out with mathematical precision. Her silk is her stock market, her web the trading floor. Every filament represents energy spent, protein converted, risk accepted. Some days the air brings profit, swarms of flies, beetles and moths filling her larder. Other days storms tear through, leaving nothing but fragments. Yet by dawn she begins again, spinning from her own reserves, building anew from within herself. In the first light of morning, the forest seems to shimmer as hundreds of these golden wheels catch the sun. Each one belongs to a solitary creature suspended between vulnerability and success, living off the dividends of air. The web glows briefly, radiant and alive, before the sun climbs higher and its brilliance fades into invisibility. The forest forgets it is there, but the orb-weaver remembers. Every vibration, every capture, every strand of honey-colored wire that turns empty space into sustenance. At first light, a single monarch butterfly breaks free from the trembling milkweed leaves. Its wings, freshly dried, unfurl in the cool air, a vivid flare of orange and black that seems almost defiant against the pale sky. The pattern is unmistakable, an evolutionary banner announcing both beauty and warning. Each patch of color is coded with chemistry and survival, a signal written in pigments and poison. In the stillness of dawn, it beats its wings once, twice, and then drifts upward into the moving air, beginning a life built on a delicate exchange between danger and deterrence, fragility and endurance. The monarch butterfly, Danaus plexippus, is one of nature's most elegant accountants. It runs a biological business where every risk, every mile flown, every egg laid, must yield a return measured not in gold but in survival probability. Its most valuable investment begins long before it can fly, inside the striped body of its larval form. The caterpillar's sole food source is milkweed, a plant laced with cardenolides, potent cardiac glycosides that can stop the heart of most vertebrates. Where other insects die, the monarch feeds with impunity. Its digestive system has evolved molecular defenses that block the toxins from binding to cellular pumps, allowing it to absorb and store them safely in its tissues. These poisons become lifelong insurance, a bitter portfolio that will later protect the adult butterfly from birds, lizards, and any predator reckless enough to take a bite. This sequestration of toxins is an extraordinary adaptation. The caterpillar does not metabolize the poisons, it warehouses them. The compounds lodge within fat bodies and cuticular tissues, surviving metamorphosis to reappear in the adult butterfly's bright wings and body fluids. Those fiery hues are not mere decoration. They are aposematic signals, evolutionary advertisements of unpalatability. A bird that catches a monarch will learn quickly, spitting it out in disgust after tasting the chemical bitterness. Experiments have shown that even a single bad encounter is enough to train many species to avoid all orange and black butterflies, granting the monarch protection through memory and mimicry alike. The system is so effective that several unrelated species, such as the viceroy butterfly, have evolved to copy the monarch's colors, leveraging its reputation for their own safety. But such protection does not come free. The milkweed diet, though chemically advantageous, limits where monarchs can breed. The butterflies depend on the geographic distribution of milkweed, binding their reproductive success to the range of a single genus of plants. This narrow specialization forces them to migrate, not for luxury, but for survival. As temperatures drop in the northern hemisphere, milkweed dies back, and the butterflies embark on one of the most remarkable migrations in the animal kingdom. They travel thousands of kilometers from Canada and the northern United States to the fur-cloaked mountains of central Mexico, guided by a navigation system encoded in both brain and body clock. How a creature weighing less than a paperclip finds its way across a continent remains one of biology's enduring marvels. Monarchs use a time-compensated sun compass, a navigational method that relies on the position of the sun and the internal rhythm of their circadian clocks. Specialized cells in their antennae contain light-sensitive pigments that detect ultraviolet and polarized light, allowing them to read the angle of the sun even through clouds. Their brains integrate this information with temporal cues, adjusting their flight direction throughout the day to maintain a consistent southward heading. It is a feat of instinctive computation, executed with a precision that rivals the instruments of modern navigation. The journey, however, is not made by individuals alone. It is a relay across generations. The monarchs that begin the migration in late summer will never see its end. They fly as far as their energy reserves allow, often 2,000 to 3,000 kilometers, before dying. Along the route, they lay eggs on milkweed plants in southern regions, ensuring that their offspring will continue the journey. These new generations, born en route, pick up the thread of migration like runners in a race, each advancing the lineage closer to the goal. By the time the butterflies reach their overwintering sites in Mexico, several generations may have passed. There, in the high-altitude forests of Oyamel firs, millions of monarchs cluster together in dense colonies that hang from the branches like living drapery. The air beneath the canopy hums with the slow pulse of wings. Temperatures here remain cool but stable, preventing metabolic exhaustion while keeping the butterflies alive through winter. The colonies breathe as one organism, warming collectively during daylight and tightening into clusters when cold descends at night. Within this suspended world, they wait for spring, conserving the fuel that will power the next generation's flight northward. When the days lengthen, the colonies dissolve and the cycle begins anew. This multi-generational relay is evolution's answer to impossible odds. By spreading the migration across time and space, the species avoids the total collapse that would occur if any single generation bore the full cost. Each cohort invests energy into reproduction rather than endurance, trusting that its descendants will complete the route. It's a biological form of risk distribution, survival not as an individual accomplishment, but as a collective continuity. The monarch's orange wings are thus more than signals of toxicity. They are symbols of a lineage that has mastered uncertainty through cooperation across generations. Still, the price of this success grows higher each year. The monarch's reliance on milkweed ties its fate to human land use. Urban development, herbicide-heavy agriculture, and deforestation along migratory corridors have decimated milkweed populations. Climate change compounds the strain, altering temperature patterns that the butterflies depend on for timing their migration. Even the oyamel forests that shelter them in Mexico face logging pressures and shifting climate zones. When the microclimate warms beyond tolerance, the colonies risk dehydration and death. For an organism whose survival depends on precision, on the right plant, the right weather, the right distance, even small disruptions can reverberate through entire populations. Biologically, the monarch's life history is a study in trade-offs. Its warning coloration deters predators, but also makes it conspicuous to collectors and environmental stressors. Its specialized diet grants chemical defense but limits adaptability. Its migration ensures genetic flow across vast regions, but demands extraordinary energy and coordination. Evolution has balanced these forces on a knife's edge. The monarch cannot easily evolve away from milkweed. The toxins it provides are the foundation of its defense. Nor can it give up migration without losing access to the plant's seasonal availability. Its survival, therefore, depends not on new adaptations, but on the endurance of old relationships, with plants, with forests, and with the climate itself. In ecological terms, the monarch butterfly is both participant and messenger. By pollinating milkweed and other flowers along its route, it threads together ecosystems separated by thousands of kilometers. Its migration knits biomes into a single ecological network, linking prairies to mountain forests and wetlands to desert edges. The fall migration south carries nutrients, genes, and information, a biological current flowing through the continent. The return north reverses that current, spreading renewal where winter once ruled. Few creatures demonstrate so clearly that life operates not in isolation, but in continuity. For predators, the monarch remains a lesson in consequence. Blue jays and orioles that ignore the warning coloration learn the hard way, retching violently after tasting a butterfly or regurgitating half-digested remains. Some predators, however, have evolved countermeasures. The black-headed grosbeak and black-backed oriole, both of Mexico's mountain forests, have developed resistance to the toxins and feast on monarchs during overwintering seasons. Even here, evolution keeps the balance fluid. Deterrence answered by adaptation, safety never absolute. As dawn breaks over a Mexican forest, the clustered monarchs begin to stir. The air warms slightly, and tens of thousands lift from the branches at once. The sky becomes a slow-moving storm of orange and black, wings catching the sunlight as if the forest itself were dissolving into flame. Each butterfly carries a molecule of poison in its body and a fragment of a root in its memory. Not personal memory, but genetic instruction written across centuries. They will fly north until milkweed calls them home again, until the next generation takes flight in their place. The monarch's life, at its core, is an act of trust. Trust in physics, in chemistry, and in time. Its wings proclaim to predators, "I am not worth the risk." Its migration declares to the planet, "I am built to endure." And through every mile and metamorphosis, Through every generation that dies mid-journey so that the next can rise, the species demonstrates one quiet truth, that survival, like wealth, can be compounded. The monarch pays its insurance premium in orange, and in return, evolution grants it longevity written not in years, but in cycles of return. In the warm darkness of Madagascar's forest floor, where decay is both endless and essential, a faint hiss interrupts the silence. It's not the slither of a reptile or the sigh of wind through leaves. It's a living exhalation, mechanical and deliberate, rising from the thorax of one of the strangest insects on Earth. Beneath a rotting log, a Madagascar hissing cockroach pushes air through its spiracles, the breathing holes that line its abdomen, producing a sound closer to a warning than a call. The hiss is not made by the mouth, nor by friction, but by pressure, a literal use of respiration as language. In a world ruled by quiet decomposition, this insect speaks in bursts of compressed air. These hisses serve many purposes: alarm, aggression, courtship, even conversation. The Madagascar hissing cockroach, Gromphodorhina portentosa, has turned its respiratory system into a multi-purpose communication device. When disturbed, it expels a loud, sharp burst to startle predators or signal distress. When males challenge each other for dominance, their hisses become rhythmic, almost percussive, resembling the stuttering cadence of machinery. During courtship, the tone softens, the rhythm slows, and the sound carries a frequency tuned for close-range attraction. Each hiss emerges from a complex pattern of air release through specialized valves, a physical act that requires no vocal cords, only control over breath. This innovation gives the species an advantage rare among insects, an acoustic range that works in both open air and within the dense clutter of leaf litter. In the dim, humid world of decomposition, sight is almost useless, and chemical signals diffuse slowly. Sound, by contrast, is immediate. Through hissing, the cockroach communicates intentions and boundaries without having to fight. A confrontation between two males is more theater than warfare. They rear up, antennae flaring, hissing in bursts that alternate between volume and duration, a duel of air pressure and stamina. Only if neither retreats do they clash, their horns and pronotal shields grinding together until one yields. Often, however, the sound alone is enough. The hiss becomes a form of economy, an energy-efficient substitute for violence. The efficiency continues in other forms. The Madagascar hissing cockroach is a master recycler, feeding on detritus, rotting wood, fallen fruit, and dead leaves. It is part of the forest sanitation crew, breaking down organic material into simpler nutrients that return to the soil. Its digestive system is a partnership between the insect and a thriving community of gut microbes, capable of decomposing cellulose and complex plant fibers. In ecological terms, the cockroach functions as a living composter, transforming waste into fertility. Without organisms like these, Madagascar's tropical ecosystems would drown in their own decay. Each hiss, each bite of moldy leaf is a small act of balance keeping the forest alive. Life in rotten debris, however, comes with hazards. The air is thick with spores, dust, and decomposing gases. For a creature that breathes through spiracles, tiny pores directly exposed to the environment, contamination is a constant threat. To survive, the hissing cockroach must maintain immaculate hygiene. Grooming is an obsession, almost ritualistic. With their antennae bent like delicate brushes, they scrub every segment of their exoskeleton, polishing their legs, wings, and the openings of their spiracles. Each movement is methodical, sweeping away dirt, mold, and mites that could clog the airways or invite infection. In this world of filth, survival depends on staying clean. The grooming behavior serves not only hygiene but also communication. Clean antennae detect chemical cues more accurately, vital for recognizing pheromones and territorial markers. In males particularly, cleanliness influences social status. A well-groomed male broadcasts not just through hiss, but through scent, advertising health and dominance. Females prefer these cleaner, louder individuals whose hisses resonate deeper and last longer. It's a peculiar irony of evolution that one of the planet's most famously dirty insects survives by being compulsively tidy. Each cockroach's exoskeleton is armored but not impermeable. It absorbs humidity from the air and sheds it slowly through microscopic openings. The tropical climate of Madagascar provides the ideal balance, warmth and moisture without desiccation. If conditions dry too far, the cockroach retreats deeper underground, where decomposing matter keeps the air thick with humidity. The colony forms loose aggregations, often hundreds strong, sharing microclimates within decaying logs. Despite their numbers, they do not live in strict hierarchies like ants or termites. Instead, dominance is temporary, established through hissing contests and brief displays of force. This flexibility makes them resilient. Leadership is a role, not a lifetime position. The hissing cockroach's sound production is unique even among its kin. Most insects that create noise rely on stridulation, rubbing body parts together, or on vibrating membranes. The Madagascar hissing cockroach alone uses its breathing system to generate sound powerful enough to be heard several meters away. It's a low-frequency call, designed not for delicate ears, but for the dense acoustic environment of the forest floor. Lower frequencies travel farther through clutter, bending around obstacles and reaching potential mates or rivals hidden under layers of detritus. In evolutionary terms, this adaptation transforms simple respiration into social technology. For predators, the hiss is often an effective deterrent. Birds, amphibians, and small mammals hesitate at the sound, mistaking it for something larger or venomous. In captivity, the sound can startle even experienced handlers. Yet its effectiveness is rooted in psychology rather than power, a bluff of biology that works precisely because it mimics something more dangerous. The cost of this bluff, however, is risk. By broadcasting so loudly, the cockroach also reveals its position. In the presence of a determined predator, such as a tenrec or a shrew, the hiss may become a beacon rather than a shield. Evolution, as always, writes its adaptations in compromise. Reproduction in this species reveals another layer of complexity. Unlike most cockroaches that lay external oothecae, egg cases deposited in the environment, the Madagascar hissing cockroach retains the ootheca internally. The female carries the eggs within her abdomen until they hatch, effectively giving live birth to dozens of nymphs. These miniature replicas of the adults emerge pale and soft, hardening within hours. The mother protects them briefly within her burrow, where humidity and warmth are stable. Once they disperse, they join the detrital world of their parents, beginning the same slow cycle of feeding, grooming, and hissing. This internal brooding ensures higher survival in a habitat where eggs would quickly desiccate or be consumed by fungi and scavengers. The young grow through several molts, shedding their exoskeletons to accommodate expansion. During these molting stages, they are most vulnerable, soft-bodied, unable to hiss effectively, and reliant on concealment. The forest floor shelters them in layers of decomposing bark and leaves, where they mimic the texture and color of decay itself. Here, silence replaces sound as the first defense. Only when their outer armor hardens does the hiss return, the audible signature of adulthood. Within laboratory studies, scientists have used the Madagascar hissing cockroach as a model organism for understanding sound communication and microbial symbiosis. Its ability to produce complex, context-dependent sounds without vocal cords has inspired research into bioacoustics and even robotics, where air pressure modulation can be used for non-verbal signaling. Meanwhile, its microbial partnerships offer clues about cellulose digestion and nutrient recycling, processes that sustain entire ecosystems. The insect, often dismissed as a pest, embodies the very systems that maintain life's continuity from decay to renewal. In the ecological hierarchy, the hissing cockroach occupies a humble but indispensable niche. By processing organic waste, it accelerates decomposition and nutrient cycling. By grooming obsessively, it prevents disease spread within decomposer communities. By hissing, it maintains a balance of threat and cooperation without needless violence. Its role may seem minor, but remove it, and the forest's sanitation system falters. Decomposition slows, fungal load increases, and soil fertility wanes. Evolution does not reward glamour, it rewards function, and in that metric few insects outperform this understated custodian.
As night deepens, the forest air grows heavy with moisture. Beneath the logs, a chorus of hisses rises intermittently, a living static woven through the hum of crickets and frogs.
The sound is not aggression, not fear, but presence, a declaration that even here, amid rot and darkness, communication persists. Each hiss is a breath made audible, a reminder that survival need not be silent. The Madagascar hissing cockroach inhales decay and exhales continuity, its every movement polishing the unseen machinery of the forest. In the ecosystem's vast economy, its contribution is quiet yet vital. The hiss may seem crude, the habitat unglamorous, but both conceal a profound truth, that even the simplest creatures can transform air, waste, and sound into civilization. Beneath the world's noise, in the compost of existence, the hissing cockroach continues its tireless work. Cleaner, recycler, communicator, and reluctant performer in the grand theatre of decay. Morning breaks over a tropical garden in Southeast Asia, and the air is alive with color and motion. Amid the blooms, one butterfly seems to command more attention than all the rest. It flutters low, catching sunlight across wings that blaze with orange, black, and white. The pattern looks almost deliberate, like brushstrokes painted to provoke rather than conceal. This is the leopard lacewing, Sethosia cyane, an artist of warning and attraction. Its wings a declaration to predators that beauty, here, comes with a price. The leopard lacewing belongs to a guild of insects that have weaponized color itself. Its bold oranges and blacks serve as an unmistakable visual code in the animal kingdom. Do not touch. The pigments are signals of toxicity, a language that transcends species. Birds learn this dialect quickly. A young bulbul that snatches one of these butterflies mid-flight experiences an immediate lesson in consequence. The acrid taste of unpalatable chemicals seeping from the butterfly's tissues. It spits the insect out, shaking its beak in disgust, and remembers the pattern. From then on, anything that even vaguely resembles that vivid orange and black combination is avoided. Through repeated encounters across generations, predators are trained by trial and error, and the lacewing's survival rate climbs not through stealth, but through spectacle. The toxins themselves are inherited, not manufactured. In its caterpillar stage, the lacewing feeds on plants from the Passifloraceae family, many of which contain cyanogenic glycosides, compounds that release hydrogen cyanide when broken down. The larvae are specialists, eating leaves that would poison most herbivores. Their digestive physiology neutralizes the immediate effects, allowing them to store trace amounts of these compounds in their tissues. As they grow, the toxins accumulate, eventually woven into the adult butterfly's blood and scales. The bright coloration that emerges from metamorphosis isn't decoration. It's a chemical announcement. I am dangerous because of what I ate. Yet not all lacewings wear the same costume. The species exhibits pronounced sexual dimorphism, a biological divergence between male and female that transforms appearance into a tool of strategy. Males are flamboyant, their wings glowing in fiery orange with crisp black borders and white spots that mimic the warning signals of other unpalatable butterflies. Females, by contrast, are muted, patterned in smoky browns, creams, and greys. At first glance, they almost look like another species altogether, subdued and cryptic. This dual wardrobe reveals a subtle evolutionary compromise. For males, color is communication, a message to both predators and potential mates. Bright wings serve as deterrents, but also as beacons in courtship displays. A male's vivid contrast and symmetry advertise genetic fitness. Females can judge quality at a distance, selecting partners with the strongest hues. But such radiance carries risk. The same patterns that repel inexperienced predators can also draw attention before the lesson is learned. Young birds or reptiles unfamiliar with aposematic codes may attack out of curiosity. The cost of advertising for males is exposure, the constant gamble between attraction and survival. Females, by contrast, must prioritize longevity and egg-laying success. Their cryptic palette allows them to blend into bark, leaves and shadows while resting or ovipositing. When they settle on the underside of passionflower vines to deposit eggs, their dull coloration hides them from spiders, mantises and wasps. In the evolutionary economy of the species, males invest in visibility to reproduce, while females invest in invisibility to endure. Both strategies succeed, not in opposition but in complement, one ensuring courtship efficiency, the other ensuring generational continuity. The lacewing's wings themselves are architectural marvels. Under a microscope, each color field is composed of tiny overlapping scales, their microstructure scattering and absorbing light to produce pigment-based and structural colors simultaneously. The orange and red shades come from carotenoid and omochrome pigments derived from their diet, while the iridescent highlights result from nanoscale ridges that bend light waves. These wings are not flat canvases, but complex optical devices, natural filters engineered through evolution to communicate, intimidate, and survive. When viewed from below, another surprise emerges. The ventral side of the leopard lacewing's wings, the underside, tells an entirely different story. Instead of vivid oranges, it displays intricate patterns of grey, brown, and white, with fine lines that resemble the texture of dried leaves or peeling bark. This dual-sided design allows instant transformation. Perched with wings closed, the butterfly vanishes into camouflage. In flight, it flashes warning colors. The switch is mechanical and instantaneous, a visual flip between invisibility and advertisement, like a living billboard that can turn off its own signal when danger passes. The lacewing's flight behavior amplifies this strategy. Rather than gliding smoothly like some other tropical butterflies, it flutters in short, erratic bursts, alternating between rapid wing beats and sudden stillness. These unpredictable movements make it harder for predators to track and capture, while the intermittent flashes of orange reinforce the aposematic signal. Behavioral ecologists refer to this as diematic reinforcement, when motion and pattern work together to exaggerate threat perception. The lacewing thus performs its survival tactic as choreography, movement, color and chemistry fused into one seamless act. During courtship, the same design becomes a stage for ritual. Males patrol sunlit clearings and forest edges, flying in looping patterns to display their upper wing surfaces. When a female passes nearby, the male pursues her in tight spirals, often producing faint wing clicks audible only at close range. The female responds by landing, closing her wings to reveal her muted underside, a visual cue that distinguishes her from rival males. If receptive, she will allow the male to approach and make brief antennal contact before mating. The entire exchange is conducted through body language and color contrast, a dialogue of motion and light refined over millions of years. Predator-prey interactions reveal further layers of complexity. Some mantises and jumping spiders, predators that rely on vision, appear to hesitate before striking lacewings. The bold edge patterns, black zigzags and sharp contours, distort the outline of the wings in motion, creating visual noise that confuses depth perception. Birds, particularly those that hunt by silhouette, may also misjudge the butterfly's size and distance, striking too late or too soon. In this way, even the geometry of the lacewing's pattern contributes to its defense, not just by signaling toxicity, but by exploiting the weaknesses of visual systems across species. The ecological role of the leopard lacewing extends beyond its own survival. As an adult, it feeds primarily on nectar, transferring pollen between tropical flowers. Its presence sustains plant reproduction in fragmented habitats, linking forest patches that might otherwise remain isolated. In urban gardens across Southeast Asia, where this species has adapted remarkably well, the lacewing's bright flutter adds both beauty and function, maintaining pollination cycles even in artificial landscapes. Its larvae, meanwhile, help regulate passionflower growth, preventing overdominance of fast-spreading vines. Thus, in its twin life stages, the lacewing participates in both pruning and propagation, two ends of a biological spectrum held together by metamorphosis. From an evolutionary perspective, the leopard lacewing's duality, its two wardrobes, encapsulates the essence of adaptation, flexibility within constraint. Sexual dimorphism, warning coloration, and mimicry do not operate as isolated traits, but as interdependent parts of a single survival equation. Each wing, each pigment molecule, each behavioral nuance contributes to an overarching strategy that balances attraction and defense, visibility and concealment, life and risk. In the grand tapestry of tropical biodiversity, where mimicry rings and warning colors proliferate like competing advertisements, the leopard lacewing has found its niche. It doesn't blend perfectly like a leaf mimic or overwhelm like a birdwing butterfly. Instead, it negotiates, showing just enough color to deter, just enough subtlety to survive. Evolution here has not chosen sides but struck a deal. When the afternoon sun fades and the forest quiets, the lacewing rests beneath a leaf, its wings folded tight. The once flaming colors disappear into shadow. It is invisible now, indistinguishable from the dried vegetation around it. But when morning returns and the light strikes again, the butterfly opens its wings, releasing its warning to the world. The orange flares to life once more, not vanity but strategy, not art but insurance. In that transformation lies the genius of its design. One body, two messages, one life, two wardrobes. The leopard lacewing doesn't hide from attention. It controls it, manipulating perception itself to survive. In a world where color can mean death or deliverance, this butterfly has learned to live between the two, painting its warning across the air and trusting that even predators can be taught to remember.